Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this video we will start looking into another interesting feature of SD-WAN, which is the TLOC extension, right? So mainly in this video we'll be working with the edges R1, R2, and maybe the BR1-1 and the BR1-2, right? So let me quickly get my whiteboard to put in some stuff on what we are going to be doing, right? So it's going to be around TLOC extension, right? So the idea here is pretty simple. So we have say my R1 over here, right? And I have my R2 over here, and we have two different transports, right? So we have the let me put in internet, right? We have the internet over here, and we also have probably the MPLS, right, which is the other transport which we are using. Now currently, as of now, what we have is we have this kind of a situation. I mean, let me also put in my other two routers, which is basically going to be my I think it's BR1-1, and the other one is going to be BR1-2, right? So this is what we have, right? And you have the internet connectivity over here between and this guy also is connected to internet, whereas I believe the BR1-2 is connected to MPLS, and this guy R2 is also connected to MPLS, right? We have something like this. Great. Now what we intend to do is we wanna we wanna do something called as TLOC extension, right? But before even going to that, let's just think for a minute that if there is a failure, right? If there is some kind of a failure in my transport over here, right? This guy would completely lose connectivity, right, to the rest of the fabric or the rest of the SD-WAN fabric, right? So TLOC extension is basically is a feature, right, which helps you to provide redundancy for your transports, right? You'll get like a transport redundancy. Okay, so I mean, ideally the best situation would be to have dedicated links like this, probably having like a dedicated link, one to the internet and one to the MPLS, and we have done this for I believe for BR2 and BR3, right? In my if you see my topology here, in my BR2 and BR3 we have done that, right? We have the dedicated links. But if you don't, right, this is a very interesting feature to kind of leverage or to have some kind of a transport redundancy, right? So yeah, let me just get that off. Yeah, so we are back here. So how are we going to configure this, or how are we going to try this out, right? That's going to be pretty simple. So ideally I would say you can, if you have ports on your device, it's better to physically connect uh, each of these routers in each of the sites. So this is site 1 and this is site 101, right? So this is site number 1 and this is site number 101, right? You can obviously do TLOC extension only in a specific site, right? Anyway, so yeah, so I would there are two ways to do it, right? You would want to have physical connections between these two routers. In an ideal situation, that would be the best, having two physical connections. But if you don't, then you can still use probably a layer 2 link, right? You could probably do use a single interface and kind of like use sub interfaces over here, right, using VLANs. And that's what we are basically going to do, right? In both the situations or both the sites, we are going to be doing the same thing, right? So you see here in our topology, if you see here, we already have this gigabit 0/1, right, from my R1 going to the switch. Here as well, gigabit 0/1 going to the switch. So we are going to be using, I believe there is already one sub interface on it, which we have done, I think 0.10 from the previous lab, right, the VLAN 10. But we are going to obviously use the same interface to try the TLOC extension as well, right? So by that, what I mean is we use a little thicker one. Yeah, so we are going to have like VLAN say 5 for this one, and VLAN 6, right, for this one, right? So these are going to be two sub interfaces. Similarly here, let me reverse it. It's going to be VLAN 6 over here, and it's going to be VLAN 5, right? I'm designing it this way because it's going to be very easier for me to then reuse the templates. I will explain to you how that works, right? So let's start with the first part. Like I said, my aim is to extend or to provide transport redundancy, right? So let's start with whom? Let's start with probably R2, right? Let me use two different colors. I'm going to use probably green for the internet. Probably let me use say orange probably for the MPLS, right? So let's start with the green, which is going to be my extending, where I'm going to be extending what? I'm going to be extending the internet transport for my R2, which means this is my internet, right? And I want to extend this to R2, right? So let me just do this. So I'm going to extend it like this, and I'm going to extend it along this interface, right? So let's assume this is how R2 will use the internet transport. Similarly, on the other side, I would want to use my MPLS transport on my R1. So I'm going to extend it here, right? Because R2 already has MPLS, so I'll have to extend it, right? So let's extend it this way, right? So this is what we are basically going to do, right? So once we have done configuring, we will basically have R1 using internet, and also having, sorry, we will have R1 using internet by default, and then we will also have a redundant, control connections coming up from the MPLS as well. We'll have a redundancy here. Similarly for R2, you can see by default it was earlier connected to only MPLS, but now after extending it, it will be able to connect via internet as well. Excuse me, right? So that's what we are basically going to do. Similarly here, we are going to, because I want to use the same VLANs, it's going to be easier for me to in the templates perspectives. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this VLAN 6, which is going to be over here, right? I'm going to extend this way, right? So I'm going to extend the MPLS to my BR1-1, right? So I'm going to give the MPLS capabilities to my BR1-1. Similarly, I will extend what? I'll extend my MPLS, sorry, I'll extend my internet to my, MPLS router this way, right? So this is what we are going to achieve. Now, just to get all the IP addresses and all of that up here, let me just put that as well. So like I said, for my VLAN 5, here I'm going to be using the interface gigabit 0 slash, I believe it is 0 slash 1.5, because we already have gigabit, 0 slash 0 slash 1. We are going to be using 1.5. Here it is going to be 0 slash 0 slash 1.6. Similarly here, gigabit 0 slash 0 1.6, and this is going to be gigabit 0 slash 0 1.5, right? So those are going to be my interfaces. IP addresses are important, right? So for this VLAN 5, what we are going to do is we're going to use say 1.2.1.0 slash 30, right? And here on this side it is going to be .1, here it is going to be .2. Similarly for on the MPLS side, I'm going to be using 10.0.1.8 slash 30, right? And this side it is going to be probably 9, and this side it is going to be probably 10, right? Hope that's clear. So this is the IP addresses on one side. On the other side, pretty much similar. So on VLAN 6, we'll probably end up using 10.0.101. I'm just using the site IDs over here to keep it simpler, right? So it's going to be .30. Similar to on the other side, we're going to use .9 over here and .10, right? Similarly for this guy, we're going to use same as this one. I'll just change this 1 to 101 because the site is 101 here and this is 1, right? So it's going to be 1.2.101.0 slash 30. On this side it's going to be .2, right? And this side it's going to be .1, right? Let's not even think about all the routing and all of that in the center for now. For now it's just this one. So we are basically going to bring this up. That's our goal, right? So hope you got this part, and so now we can start with the configurations and get it going. All right, so just get this guy here. Okay, so that looks good. All right, so let's start. So I'm on my R1 router right now. Let's check the what do we check? Let's check the control connections. And there you go, 3 connections: one to vSmart, one to vBond, and one to vManage. Let's also check the BFD. I think it's BFD sessions, if I'm not wrong. Sorry, show BFD sessions. There you go. So I have probably 3 sessions going up to 101, 102, and 103, right? From my topology, if you see, right? So if you see my topology over here, you can see that I have R1 over here. So I need to have my BFD sessions via the internet transport, and it is going up to BR1-1. You have it to BR2, and you have to BR3, right? Those are the primary ones over here. You can see here. And then you also have one more session to what? To my BR1-2, right? To my BR1-2, because we set up this particular MPLS, remember? So the path is basically going to be something like, BR2 is going to reach out to MPLS router. It's going to go like this, go up like this, and ASA, and this way, right? So that's how it is able to reach out to R1. So we have, like I said, because we have set up this MPLS session from this side, I would say the MPLS transport is not completely set up yet. The internet is, yes, completely set up. So you'll find like proper connectivity and all the BFD sessions. On the MPLS side, we have not completely set this up. So that's why you probably might see some sessions missing, especially from BR2 and BR3. We have not set this up properly yet, which we will do it in the future videos. But for now, you can see, like I said, we have 4 BFD sessions, right? I just want you to remember the number 3 here and 4 here, because this is what we'll be comparing at the end of the session, right? Quickly, let's go on to the configuration part. Like I said, you see our goal, right? This is what we want to achieve. And by looking at this, the first thing which comes to your head is you want to create some sub interfaces, right? You want to create some sub interfaces. Let's go about doing that. Pretty simple. Let's go to my, I hope it's here. Yeah. So we are here. What do we do to create sub interfaces? As usual, let's go to my templates. So on my templates, where do I go? I basically go down to my features, right? So can I reuse something? Probably not. I don't think I have anything for that. So let me create a new template, right? So when we go to features, and let's say add a template. So when I say add a template, I have to select first the product family, which is VH Cloud, and then I can go and select. It's going to be just VPN internet, right? Interface Ethernet, right? Cool. So once that is done, so let's concentrate here, right? So what's going to happen now is, look at my diagram here. Maybe my whiteboard is better. So let's start with this interface, the green one here. So when you look at the green one, you have gigabit, or in fact, let's talk about this particular extension, right? The green extension. Let's just call this as a green extension for now. Okay. So I think I missed out on one important detail here. Let me just put that up, because otherwise it might confuse folks. So when I say the sub interface is gigabit 1.5, right? When I say this, let me just use probably a different color. Maybe, I think, will that be better? I'm just thinking. Okay. Let me do this. Okay, my stencil is giving me some problem. Okay, so I think this is better. Cool. Okay. So what we'll do here is, if you look at this particular, let me use 2 different colors now, right? Let me use violet over here. So we are gonna color it this with violet, and the other end we are gonna probably, so you're gonna have violet over here as well, obviously. And let's use a different color, probably a blue. color this end, right? Getting my point? So the violet one, we are going to call this as a mapping interface, right? Why am I calling this as a mapping interface? Because it is just trying to map this particular transport to R2, right? So let's call this as the map, right? This is going to be the map, right? But on the other side, if you see here, we are going to call this as a tunnel, right? Similar to how we have configured our tunnels before, because when you look at this, R2 is going to create a tunnel interface for the transport internet, right? Using this particular interface. So that's why I'm going to call it as tunnel on one side and map on the other side, right? Just it's obviously not compulsory to do this. I'm just keep making it simpler so that we don't have confusion, right? Cool. So so it's going to be something like this, right? So this is going to be the mapping interface for the internet, and this is going to be the mapping interface for the MPLS. Similarly, the blue ones right over here, they are going to be the tunnel interfaces. One for, obviously this is going to be the tunnel for MPLS, this is going to be the tunnel for internet. Now why I'm doing it this way is because now it's going to help me create my templates easier, right? Because you see, I can create one template for the violet ones and I can create one more template for the blue ones, right? Because you see the sub interface numbers are different. It's 1.5 here and it is 1.6 here, right? Cool. So let's get ahead with that, right? So let's start by first creating uh, let's start with the template. I think it's going to be easier once we start, right? So cool. So now that we have explained, let's just use the terms violet and blue. Violet is for mapping, blue is for tunnel interface. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, so we are here on the screen. Let me go down to the basic configuration section. We want obviously the interface to be always on. So let's change this to global, no shutdown, right? So that's good. What else? This is the interface name. So this is what I was talking about, right? I want to, obviously I can't keep this as global. I'll have to change this because it's going to be different on either of the side, right? So it's going to be, let's call this as TLOC, and I'm going to call this as, so what we're doing right now is the mapping interface, which is the violet one, right? I'm going to call this interface name. So VPN0 TLOC map interface name. Okay, I think that's going to be enough for me to understand that. So, okay, I think that did not go, my bad. Yep, now it went in, right? So be careful with this. Sometimes it doesn't, so you have to be careful. So yeah, so we have created a name for the interface. What else do we do? Maybe a description won't hurt, right? Let's put in a description and let's say star star star. This is going to be my TLOC extension map, right? So it's the map. So whenever you think of map, imagine the interface is on the other side, right? The other side of the device who is helping you to extend his transport towards you, right? Just think of it in that way. It's going to be easier, right? So once we are done with that, let's go down to IPv4 static. And when you talk about static, you're going to go down here, select, make it specific again, because we'll have to have different IP addresses. So let's probably keep this little bit, I think this is, maybe let me change it. I'm not that happy with whatever it is. So we can change this to VPN, probably, give me a minute. So let me change this to VPN 0. Yep, so there you go, VPN 0. And what kind of an interface it is, let me write that. It's TLOC map interface IP address. I think that is pretty good. So let's select that. That's good. What else? Once we're done with that, we go down to probably the advanced tab. And the advanced tab, because it's a sub interface, right? Let's change the MTU to 1496. because 4 bytes would go for the VLAN, right? So I think we are good with that. Do we want anything else to be done here? Oh, actually there is, right? We have to enable the TLOC extension. I forgot that. That's the most important part. Let's find that. Where's the TLOC extension? Oh, here. Okay. So TLOC extension, right? So what are we extending? Let me scroll down a bit. Here we go. So let's make this global. This will always be gigabit 0/0 because you see in my topology, this one is always gigabit 0/0, right? The one which is connected towards the transport. So that's the interface which you need to mention here, and that's going to be always. But then we have to be careful and make sure that the interface name is correct. So what I'm going to do is I will check on the device. How does it appear? Lose the connectivity. Right. So yep. So I'm going to use as is. Right. Make sure to do that. There you go. So it's going to be gigabit 0/0, and yeah. So I think that's good. So that's what I wanted to do. So let me go and update this. Okay. Please fill in the required fields. 2 fields are required. Okay. So did I miss something? Which are the 2 fields? Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't put a name. My bad. So it's going to be something like, let's call this VH underscore TLOC extension underscore map. Okay. It's pretty much straightforward, right? Let's copy this, paste it here, save. Right. Now that we are done with the mapping interface, the next interface, there's one more interface, remember, the tunnel interface, right? The blue one. We have done the violet one. Now we're gonna do the blue one. So let's go down here. Let's again select the same thing. And let's, once it loads, we can probably go top and give a name. Let's not forget the name. So it's gonna be something like V Edge, but this time it's gonna be TLOC extension, but it's going to be a tunnel interface. Right, let's keep it simple this way. Right, so once we're done with that, let's make this no shutdown. Did I do that? Probably it's on the top. Yeah, let's change this to global and no shutdown. And the interface name, let's go to device specific. And when you see the interface name here, let's keep it pretty simple. It's going to be VPN 0, but it's not going to be TLOC. It's going to be TLOC extension, yes, but it is going to be a tunnel, right? It is not the map. So let's name it as is, right? Something which is going to be useful. And the interface is done. What else? So we would need IPv4 static. IPv4, let's change this to device specific. And again here, make sure you mention VPN 0, right? Underscore TLOC, sorry, TLOC extension, but it's going to be tunnel. And underscore is already there, so that's good. So that's the IP address which I want. And yeah, so now once that is done, we'll have to scroll down to the tunnel part, probably enable this tunnel, right? Let's go and make it on. I think that did not turn on. Let me turn it on again. Yep, it's turned on now. So once it is turned on, we'll have to give a color, right, for this particular tunnel. So when we're talking about color, we will have to, we can't obviously hard code anything here because the color is going to be internet on one side and MPLS on the other side, right? So let's look at this. So this is the tunnel, right? The blue one, right? So the tunnel is going to be MPLS on this side, whereas on this side it is the green one, right? So it's going to be internet. So we need to be careful, and let's keep it, let's keep it device specific here, right? So we are going to call this VPN 0, right? And let's say TLOC extension, and probably interface is already there, so that's good. So we can say TLOC extension interface tunnel color value. That makes good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. What else? Let's scroll a bit down and change the service value to global and enable it on. That's done. Advanced. Let's go down to probably advanced here, and what do we do here? Let's enable this IP MTU. Right, this is something which we have done in the past. We are going to change it to 1496. Right, we did it in the previous one as well because it's a VLAN interface. I could also go and enable MTU discovery. Let's do that. Whenever IPsec is involved, I really like to do the MTU discovery because it adds a lot of overhead. So let's update this. So we are good with both the interfaces, right? Now, what do we do next? Let's go to the device template, because we have to attach these. We are doing only the headquarters first. We are doing only these both first. So let's do that. So we gotta attach these whatever interfaces we have created to the devices. So that's why we have to come down here. Now let's open the template for R1. Where is R1? So you look at the descriptions. So here you go. This is my R1. Let's do edit. So as soon as you do that, what you will find is you will find transport and management VPN section, right? So this is the place where we have to add our VPN interface, right? Let's add two VPN interfaces, right? Because we're going to add two sub interfaces. One of them is going to be the map. Let's add the map first, right? And let's add the tunnel interface as well. Right, there you go. So we have added both. Is that it? Yes, that is it. I can hit the update. So here now it should ask me, I need to fill some stuff. What do I have to fill up? So it's probably going to ask me, let me scroll to the bottom here. Yep, there are a bunch of things which I need to put in. Let's start with the first one, right? So we have the interface name, the VPN0 TLOC tunnel interface name, and then you have the map interface name. Did I make a mistake? Do I have the map is good. Tunnel interface. Okay, give me a second. Let me just verify that. All right. So yeah, I was correct, right? I think I just got a bit alarmed, but yeah, that's perfect. So what we're doing now is we're going to put in the tunnel interface name, which is from the diagram. If you see here, this is the tunnel, right? The blue one, and it's going to be 1.6, right? And the other side, the map interface is going to be 1.5. So that's what we're going to fill in here, right? Pretty simple. So, but again, be careful with the whole naming convention. So that's going to come back and haunt you later. So let me just get it from here, how it is set up, and then we could use, yeah. So I'm going to use something like this, 1.0. So let's do that. We paste it as is. I'm just going to put in 1.6 here, right? So that's going to be the tunnel, and the IP address is going to be 10.0.1.9/30, right? The value is going to be what? So this is the tunnel interface for the MPLS, right? I'm extending my MPLS of R2 towards my R1. So this is that, and my other interface is going to be gigabit 0/1.5, right? Which is the map, and the IP address is 1.2.1.1, I believe, /30 again. Okay, let's hit update. There you go. Next, let me just quickly see if the TLOC extension part has come in. Yep, let's do a control F and do probably for extension. Let's see the extension. Yeah, see, you can see the extension part has come in. So we are good to go and configure it. Right, so once this is done, we can go and then put in the same thing on my R2. Okay, so it's happening. I hope there is no error. Yep, it's successful. Let's quickly go and do the same thing on my R2 as well. So let's go down to templates. Let's say let's go to R2. So which is R2 here? You can see here. So it's going to be the first one. Okay, so which one did I do just now? I hope I did the right one. Just trying to double check where did I push it. Yeah, I did it on R1. Good. So we're going to do this on R2 now. Let's pick this one, the first one. Edit. So pretty much the same. Let's go down here, put in a couple of these VPN interfaces. Going to be one more. The first one is going to be the map, and the second one is going to be the tunnel. Update. Once we are done with that, we will go and obviously put in the data here. So if you look at the topology, sorry, the 1.6 and 1.5, right? So sorry, not this one, my bad. So on R2, you can see the 1.5 is going to be for my tunnel, and 1.6 is going to be for my mapping. Right, so let's do that. Scroll to the bottom. You can see here, right? So it's going to be gigabit. The tunnel is going to be 5, and the IP address I believe is 1.2.1.2/30. Great. This one is we are trying to extend the public internet from the R1 side, right? So that's why we're going to change this to public internet over here. There you go. And the mapping interface is clearly it's going to be gigabit 0/1.6. Hope there is no confusion there. And the last part is 10.0.1.10/30. Right, so that's basically taken care of. Update. Next, configure. That's it. I mean, I think once we're done with this, we are basically done with the TLOC extension on one of the sites. Right, we should be good to go and verify. So let's wait for this to be done. Still happening. Yep, it's done. Now let's check, which means I go down to what do I do for checking? First, let's check if the configuration has come, right? So let's do show running configuration. Let's do simply show running, right? We should see this. We should see two sub interfaces which should have come in, which we have just now configured. There you go. We have 1.5, we have 1.6, right? So 1.5 is the mapping interface for R1, and 1.6 is the tunnel interface, and you can see that. Now let's check show. Probably let me check show interface. Do I have that here? Oh. A little bad with the commands on this one. Let's say, do we have show IP? Yep. So let's check that. Yep, so we have the interfaces, and we should see those two sub interfaces which we just now created right over here. Yeah, there you go, 1.5 and 1.6. So we have the IP addresses on them as well, which looks great. um, I'm pretty sure that's the same thing should have appeared even on R2, right? I'm not probably going to log into that. It's going to simply waste time. Instead, let me ping the R2 sub interface. Let me clear the screen a bit, right? So ideally, I should be able to ping R2, which is say 1.2.1.2. There you go. It works. Let's check the other interface. I believe the tunnel. So we have that 10.0.1.10. There you go. That works as well. So we have set up this whole thing very well, which means we look at this diagram, right? So we have set up these both interfaces, and both of them are able to talk to each other, right? So what else should we do now, or what should we verify, right? So the TLOC extension, before we verify the rest of the stuff, what I want to do is all right. So let's do a bit of routing. Like I said, let's look at the topology here. Um, so before we even talk about that, what I'll do is let me tell you what I've done already. So this is my internet router, right? So I've put a default route on my internet router for this particular network, which is 1.2.1.0, because this is the extension of internet on R2, right? So I put in a default route on my internet router for this particular network towards my R1, right? I've probably done the same thing this side as well, for this particular network. I put it on this side, which is fine. um, and here what I've done is, if you see my actual topology, it's R2 is not directly connected to MPLS. I mean, you have a MPLS router right in my topology, right? If you look here, you have a MPLS router here. So what I've done is I have advertised this new network which we just now added to the MPLS side, which is 10.0.1.8, right? The extension network, right? So the extension tunnel interface, right? So I've added this one to the MPLS BGP configuration which we have here. So we have a BGP setup between these two routers here, and I've advertised that network here, and I've also put in a static route for this particular network towards R2, right? So all of that pre-config I've already done. I've taken care of it, right? The pre-config on internet and pre-config on MPLS and this MPLS as well, right? This is actually R-MPLS. It's not confused. So these are two separate routers. Anyway, so but is that enough? It's not, right? Currently, if you look at R1, we just have one default gateway towards internet, but we need one more default gateway towards MPLS, transport as well, right? And the MPLS transport address is this one, right? So we need to put a default gateway on R1 towards this guy, and on R2 we need to put a default gateway for the internet transport, right? Because if MPLS fails, it should use the internet transport. So you need what default gateway. So on R2 we'll be putting a default gateway towards this address, right? So that's what we'll be doing now. So we'll again you go back to using our templates to accomplish our task as we have done in the past. Let's see, where do we do that, right? So okay, it's not me out. Yep, it's coming up. Apologies again, I think my internet is too slow today. Okay, so there you go. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go down to the templates, right? So let's go down to templates here, and on the templates now we will be putting let's go down to the feature templates, right? And let's search for VPN 0, right? Because we wanna put in that static route, and it's going to be in the VPN 0. Let's find that template which we have for VPN 0. So this one. So there are 6 devices attached as of now. Should be 7. 6, I believe. 6. Yeah. Okay. 5, 6. Yeah. Correct. So let's go and edit it. So if you go down here, now you will see that yeah, I can do this in two different ways. Probably I'll take the easier path now. So let's go to IPv4, or actually let me take the longer one. It's fine. So I could probably edit this next stop and add one more next stop here, because it's basically adding two next stops for the same, because it's a default gateway. I'm trying to add two default gateways. What I'm going to do is I'll take the longer approach. Let's go to IPv4 and did I basically go inside routing by any chance? My bad. So I think I was supposed to be here. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is you have to put a prefix, right? So the prefix is going to be 0.0 as usual. Give me a second. Yeah. So that's going to be global and one sec. All right. I love using the template, so let me go and put in 0.0. Sorry. Let's make this device specific. For now, I'm thinking if I can use this template later. So it's going to be something like VPN 0 underscore prefix 1, right, underscore next hop. This is going to be, it's going to be next hop. Oh, sorry, it's not going to be next hop. This is the, sorry, this is not the next hop. My bad. Let me just change that. So it's going to be VPN 0 IPv4 IP prefix address, right? That's it. So it's going to be VPN 0. Let's say, let's call it IPv4, and it's going to be IP probably prefix say 1, right? This is basically 0.0, right, for us. And now we are going to add the next stop. Add next stop, and this is where we are going to make it again device specific, right? So let's click on that. Okay, let's change it again. So what we're going to do is here, instead of VPN, let's change it to VPN 0 and make it prefix 1 underscore next stop IP address. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so add, and let's add this. Do we keep it optional? I'm not sure if this particular template is being used anywhere else. So let's make it optional, because I don't want to probably add it to all the routers, right? If I'm using this at other place, I'm going to keep it optional because I want this next stop to be added only for these two routers for now. So let's do add. So there you go, it has come in here, and I think that's it. I mean, we can update it. So now we can go and put the next stop for R1. Loading. Yep, looks good. All right, looks good. So let's click on next. Okay, wait. Don't click on next, because remember, we have made that piece optional, right? So we need to go and put the values now. So let's go to R1 first. I believe this is my R1. So let's go to R1 and let's put the value. What's the value going to be? Let's scroll down. Just remember, on R1 we are trying to extend, we're trying to make use of MPLS, right? So where's the optional part? Yeah, this is the optional part. So let's put in 0.0/0, and the next stop IP address would be basically the MPLS side of it. So it's going to be 10.1.10. Update. Let's do the same thing for R2. Sorry, not BR1-2. It's going to be this single transport. I believe this one. Headquarters R2. So on headquarters R2 as well, we will have to put in the next stop IP address. Let's change this to 0.0.0/0, whereas this is going to be 1.2.1.1, right? 1.2.1.1. Sorry, update. And we are good. I'm happy with this. Let's continue. Let's say configure. It's still going to push on probably 6 devices, but it's obviously not going to do the changes on the rest of them because there is nothing to be done. It's only 2 devices. So you'll probably start seeing 6 devices up here, but that should be fine. Okay, you can see I'm just waiting for R1 and R2 to be done because the rest of them I'm not even concerned because there won't be any changes happening over there. Okay, so let's just wait for that to happen. All right, so it's completed. Now it's time to go and verify whatever we have done with the TLOC extension. So let's go to R1. Yep, so right, so let's check the control connections now. Right, so I think it's still coming up probably. Have to wait for a minute. Yep, now you can see we have how many? 5 connections, right? Remember the numbers which I told you to remember earlier? It was 3 and 4, but the 3 has changed to 5. What has happened is we have now 2 connections for vSmart and 2 connections for vBond, right? And you can see that each of the connection is going to through public internet, MPLS, public internet, and MPLS, right? So which means our TLOC extension, whatever we did, worked, right? So now our routers here, or let me just use the other one. The R1 is trying to use the internet obviously to reach out to my my controllers, and is also using this extra connection which we have added now, the other transport as well, to kind of reach out to my controllers, right? So that's something pretty good. Now let's also see the let's also probably see what the BFD connections. There also BFD sessions also should have increased. There we go. So we have the BFD sessions as well, right? So you can see earlier I believe it was 4. Now the BFD sessions have doubled, right? So you're basically having 2 connections per site. For every remote site, you are having 1 connection via public internet, 1 via MPLS. So we have successfully, kind of extended the, we have extended what? We have extended the, TLOC. So we could also check the same thing on my R2 if you want. Maybe let me do that. Let me probably check one command, right? Because I've not touched R2 at all. I just want to show you that would have happened on R2 as well. So let me log in. So on my R2, if I want to show you control connections, there you go. See, you have 2 vSmarts and 2 vBonds. And the BFD, there you go. We have 8 sessions, 8 BFD sessions, 1 via MPLS and 1 via public internet. Okay. Now, we have done half of it. Let's quickly do the rest. Right, I'm going to quickly go through the rest because we have done the first half slowly so that we get a feel of it. But now this part, it's going to be an exact replica of this. I'm going to do it very, very quickly, right? So just sit back and watch. So we are doing BR1-1, right? I'll not obviously show you the output right now because the show control connections and show BFD sessions will be less now, but after we do it, it's going to be more, right? So I think you get the idea now. So let me just quickly go down to the templates. I'll have to probably go down to first, and I'll have to go down to templates. I'll have to select the device. So BR1-1 is first. So let me select this device. Edit. Right. Am I doing? Yeah, I'm doing it on BR1-1, which is good. So on this device, what do I intend to do? Let's go to the transport and management section. Let's add the 2 interfaces, which is one is the map and the other one is the tunnel. There you go. Update. Okay, so once we are done with that, now we are good to go and put in our values which are needed here. Excuse me. Yeah, so we are going to put in our values, which is going to be what is it? So we're going to have the tunnel interface. The tunnel interface here is going to be 1.6, and the IP addresses are going to be 10.0.109, I believe. Oh, sorry, 101.9/30. Right, I'm not just cooking this up. You can see here from my topology which I put in earlier. Right, it is 10.0.101.9 here and 10 here, right? So I'm just configuring this one right now, .9. So that's what I'm putting in. And once done with that, what is that going to be? That is the MPLS. I'm extending the MPLS on BR1-1. So this is going to be, let me select that MPLS. Where is the MPLS? Here. So, and then the VPN map interface. The map interface would be the other one. And the IP address is going to be almost similar to this, but this is going to be 101. Right? So that's it. I'm going to update this. So we're done with BR1-1. We're good to go. Click next, configure device. Let me refresh this. Still configuring. Yep, it's completed. Let's do the other one, which is going to be my, again, going back to templates, selecting what? We have to select our BR1-2 device, right? We did it on BR1-1, I believe. Did I do it on the right device? I'm always skeptical about this. Yep, I've done it on BR1-1. So let's go and do it on BR1-2, which is here. Let's edit. The same thing, gonna attach the two sub interfaces first over here. Right, add a VPN, right? So there you go. The first one is going to be your map, like my map interface, and the other one is your the tunnel update. And let's edit this. We got to fill in some values. So this one is going to be my gigabit 01/5, and this is going to be the we got to change only this one to 101.2. Right, you can refer the topology which I put in earlier. So here we are extending the public internet, right? So we are on my BR1-2, where we want the connection to the public internet. So let's go and select that. And right, so this is going to be the gigabit 1/6, I believe, right? And I'm happy with that. And the last part is we are going to put in the IP address, which is, it's going to be almost similar to this, but it's going to be 101 here, 01. Okay, so once you get a hang of it, it's pretty easy, right? So click on next, configure devices, and what else? You gotta wait for this to complete. All right, so it's completed. Now let's quickly go and check if the configurations have come in, which means where do I check? I will have to check on my BR1-1 over here. We reconnect this. Admin, and let me just check show interfaces. I have a brief here. Okay, description. My bad. Okay, so you can see my sub interfaces have come in successfully, right? You can see the 1.5 here and the 1.6, right? Both the interfaces have come in, and I'm not going to show you the other branch. I'm pretty sure it would have come in. That's just to verify we can ping from here and check, right? So let's ping the other side, which is 1.2.101.2. There you go. It works. So branch 1 is able to connect to branch 2's sub interface. Let's check on the other side as well. Ping 10.0.101.10. There you go, that works. Sweet. Now, the only last piece which is remaining is that, let me go back here. So what we did here, right, we did the whole routing part here. So we got to do the routing part here as well. Right? We should do the routing part here. All right, so the routing part. I think we have written a lot. So let me use a different color again. Maybe this one will be better. Yeah. So remember here, we kind of did the whole advertising of this multicast, the MPLS subnet inside my MPLS router so that the whole MPLS is reachable. But this was already done by me because it was not a SDWAN router, right? This is a single router on my topology. It was something which I did as part of pre-config. But unfortunately, we don't have such kind of a flexibility here. We will have to do it manually, right? So we will have to advertise this specific network, right? The MPLS, which is this one, right? 10.0.101.8. We'll have to take it and we'll have to advertise into the BGP. Luckily, we have the BGP between this guy, and this guy over here. So we'll have to just advertise it, right? So that's what we are going to do. I mean, if you came here just for TLOC extension, I think this is going to be good. From now on, whatever I'm going to do is mainly with respect to what I did in my previous video. I had already set up a BGP, so I want to advertise this particular subnet inside, this BGP domain. And while I do that, I also want to, in my earlier videos, I also showed local control policy, right? So in my local control policy, I had put in a filter saying that, accept only certain prefixes and don't accept the rest of the prefixes. So I'll have to tweak that policy as well. So let's just observe when I do it. But this was basically which I wanted to show you as part of the TLOC extension. But whatever you're going to do now is kind of like an additional part of it, right? So great, let's go and do this. So for doing this, we'll have to go and tinker with our, okay, it goes on logging me out. So we'll have to tinker with our BGP template which we created before. So let's go there. Hope you got the whole idea, right? We're trying to, advertise that particular subnet which we just now added. For the MPLS side, we're trying to advertise that in BGP, right? So let's do that. So let's go to probably, excuse me, let's go here. Let's go to templates. So once you go down to templates, what do you do next? So okay, we want a feature template here, right? We want to check the BGP template. Let's see the BGP template. Here you go. Let me see if it already has the stuff needed. Scroll down. So here, if you see, do I have neighbor advanced? Where is the network part? Is it under this? Yep, there you go. So this was the network which I was talking about, right? So I already have the network. I'll have to just advertise it. Had I made this optional? I'm not sure. Maybe I made it optional. Let me just check. Okay, it's marked as optional, right? So that's basically what I'll have to add, for my BR1-2, right? So what we'll do is, let me go and put this on BR1-2. So here you go, BR1-2, and we will edit this. What we're gonna put down here is, where is the optional one? Just trying to find it. Give me a second. All right. So here, if you see here, I was advertising the loopback earlier over here, 101.30/32. I'm going to change this to the one which I want to advertise now, which is 10.0.101, right? Let me look at my topology. Yeah, this one, 10.0.101.8. That's what I want. So let me go back 101.8, I believe, and we will put in a /30 over here. Okay, the rest looks good. Let's update. So I'm gonna put this only on this guy. Update, configure. Okay. Once we do this, we can check on my RMPLS router what has happened. Yes, it's successful. Now let me go to my RMPLS router. I believe it's this one. Let me just check if the route which I advertised, has come here. We already have it open, but anyway, that's good. So why am I checking it here? Because I advertised it, over here, right, on BR1-2. So I want to see if it has arrived on RMPLS router, right? So for doing this, I'll have to check show IP BGP. There you go. I can see the route. Is that the one? My bad. Okay, not that one. That's basically from the other side. Still not here, I guess. All right, so we have so the push was successful, so which means we should see the particular, yeah, here you go. So you can see the particular network 10.0.101.8/30, right? The particular subnet which we had just now added over here, so that has now been advertised into MPLS, right? It's visible here, but obviously we don't want to stop there, and we want to give that particular subnet to whom? We also want to give it to these two routers as well, right? The BR2 and BR3. And remember, we had put in the inbound BGP policy, so we'll have to just fix that inbound BGP policy to allow this particular subnet, and we will be good, right? So what do we do for that? Let's go here. Let's go to the templates again. Let's go to the policies. My bad. Let's go to policy. I've already created the prefix over here before. So I just need to go to the, I believe, so I've created the prefix. So I just need to go to the route policy. Let's go to route policies. The policy which we are going to tinker is basically the BGP from MPLS, right? So this one, let's go and probably edit this. So what we just need to do here is probably do I need to create a new sequence rule, or yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'll have to create a new sequence rule here. Let's create a new sequence rule, and in the sequence rule, I'll have to probably select the prefix, right? So the prefix is basically the one which I just now created, which is your scroll down, BR1, this particular subnet, right, which we want to add. So that's good. So selected that. The action is going to be changed to permit or accept. That's good. Save it. Right. Let's save this. And I think we are good to activate it. There you go. I can just push it blindly. There you go. So let's wait for this to finish. Let's click OK. Okay, let that finish. Meanwhile, let me check what else has to be done. I think we are good. We just need to verify if the particular subnet has been learned on BR2, BR3, and then we can just check if our TLOC extension has worked on both our this thing, right? So that's the only task remaining. So let's check. The push is completed. Push is happening. Yep, the push is completed, which means now let's go to BR. Let's check it on BR3. I think that's enough, right? So let's check it on BR3. You have to reconnect. My bad. So on VR3, let's do show BGP route, right? What we are looking for is 10.0.101. Yeah, here we go. This is the route we are looking for, right? And it is learned, right? It was learned on VR3 as well. Okay. So now let's go and just double confirm our TLOCs, which means I have to check it on VR1-1. Okay. Keeps on disconnecting. That's weird. Yeah. So if I have to quickly check, I will have to run show control connections. Okay, this is probably still coming up. While that happens, we can probably check it on VR1-2 till then. Show control connections. There you go, you can see there are two control connections for every for vSmart and vBond, right, which is in line with what we wanted to do. You can see one is via MPLS, the other one is via public internet. We can also see the BFD, show BFD sessions, should give us like 8 sessions. There you go. So you have via public internet and you have MPLS, right? So we have I mean, you have more than 8, right? Because this is on the other side, so you have like 4 to the headquarters 1, the first router on headquarters 1, and then you have another 4 for the headquarters router 2, right? And then you have 4 more, so you're gonna basically have 12 here, right? So yeah, that's good. I think we have verified almost everything. All right, so let's just finally check if on VR1-1 as well if the control connections have come up. So show control connections. Okay, there you see we have 2 connections to vSmart and 2 to vBond, and each of them are happening over MPLS and public internet, right? Let's also check the BFD. There you go. So we have the BFD, the 12 connections. We should have 12. 4 towards R1, 4 towards R2, and the rest 4, basically towards my R3 and R4. Sorry, R2 and R3. Basically VR2 and VR3, right? So there you go, guys. We have configured successfully what we set out to do, right? We did the whole, right? So, okay, I'm a big fan of summarizing. So let me just clear this canvas and just try to summarize because we did a lot of things. I want to make sure that the message is taken the right way, right? So we had R1, we had R2, we had BR1-1, and we had our BR1-2. So these were our routers, right? We had our internet over here, right? First transport, and we had our MPLS over here, right? This guy was connected this way, and these guys were connected this way, right? We had like single transport kind of devices, and we weren't very happy. We wanted to extend, which means what I mean by extend is we wanted to take the whole internet from here, this transport, and extend its capabilities to my R2, right? Similarly, we wanted to take the MPLS from here and extend it to my R1, right? So when we did that, what we did is we initially started creating let me use the same colors which I used earlier so that you don't get confused. We created what you call as the maps, right? We created the tunnel, we created the TLOC map over here, map interfaces, and then on the other side, I believe we used the blue. So let me use the same color. We created what you call as the tunnels, right? So in case R2 wants to use this transport, it will use this tunnel, right? So that was basically what we did. We obviously did it using templates, but that's basically what we did. We did the same thing on the other side as well. And this was just not enough because now you need to also make sure that on R2 you put a default route, right? you need to put another default. You already have a default route on R2 towards, obviously your MPLS, but you have to put one more default route here towards R1, right? For this particular, because we have added this particular new interface here. So we had to put a default route, towards R1 so that, if this particular interface fails, it can then fall back and use the internet as transport. Similarly, we had to do the same exercise here, right? On R1, we had to put the default route towards R2, right? So once we did all of that, we found that, R1 was no longer just using internet, but it was also using the MPLS to reach the controllers, and also to set up, the BFD connections, which in turn are basically going to be our data connections, right? It was able to set up not just using internet, but also using MPLS, right? So TLOC extension, just remember it as a functionality which helps you to provide redundancy of transports at your site. So if you have on your site, if you have two different edges, right, then you can kind of do this. I would always prefer, having two separate physical interfaces connected to the transports. But then, if you can't do that, then this is a very good feature wherein, you can still get the benefits of both the transports. You can still kind of get the redundancy by using the TLOC extension, right? So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Hope that was useful, and talk soon. Bye.